Hello. In today's video, I wanted to share a little bit about how this journal that I made for myself helps me keep track of the different things that I'm interested in learning. And it's a way for me to notice different symbols and different images that are coming up, and then like tie those different images as threads um, that can give me a message about different things that might be important for me. So this is a journal that I made, and I'll flip through some of the pages here as I'm talking. This is a 8.5 by 11 version. For the last half of the year, I have been using a smaller version, and I like both. So I'm working on the 2024 edition, and I am deciding if I will have both sizes available or if I will just have one size available. Anyway, so I created this journal. I started off as a tiny, like 8-page handout that I had for myself. And I added some basic things to it. So for example, I added the monthly intentions. So actually, it might be better if I go and get one to show. So this is what the journal looked like before I made it into a bound journal. And this was the very first one that I printed out for myself. And this one I even printed it wrong. And I included pages from another journal here, but I'll show you which ones are the pages that I created. So I created like the intro page that said, this workbook is meant to help you bring more creativity into your life by helping you create space in your life for creative action. You can do as many or as few of the prompts and activities as you feel called. The message from the Muse Daily Creative Action. I wish I didn't. Do I have another one with the words? I wish I didn't print on this one. In February, I changed it, so I didn't print out that page. Oh, okay. Anyway, here we go again. You can do as many or as few of the prompts and other activities as you feel called to. The point of the daily creative action page, which is this one. Where is it? It's a circular one. I'll see if I find it in a little bit. It's not to make you feel guilty if you don't have something to add each day. My hope is that you realize that you are already more creative than you give yourself credit for. Throughout the workbook, there will be lots of empty spaces for you to add your own notes, drawings, doodles, etc. You can also just use the prompts in your own journal, like in your own notebook, if you don't want to print out the pages but are curious about the different activities and things you can note or notice. My hope is that through working with this document, you will gain the confidence to develop your own creative practice and open the door for communicating with the Muse in your everyday life. Thank you for downloading the file, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's see. I feel like in January, it looked a little different. So I had the intro page, and then I had the places for you to write down the month, the year, the new moon and the full moon phases, and then the page to write your creative intentions. And then I already had the little box to do your important astrological transits that you wanted to track. This page is this is from a different workbook. Then there was the end of the month reflection, where you could write about how the month went. It always had the creative sacred space. page, which combined the creating a sacred space with like the elements and then the message from the muse. So it looks a little different in this year's. Then this was the daily creative action part that I was referencing. So this one turned into tracker for the 2023 version, but at the beginning I was using it as a way to write about something that I did, something creative that I did. Then I had the new ideas page. I had this called old observations that became the psychic observations. So this was like a way to balance the new ideas that you were getting and then noticing things that maybe were not working anymore. This is a page from a different workbook. This one is also one of those pages. And then the commune with the muse was writing down your creative allies, plant allies, and animal allies. So it was very basic, basically just the spots for you to do your setting your intentions, track your creative activities, do a spread, write down new ideas, and then reflect on the month. And then I'll show July 2021. I added this was an addition, the page for you to write a letter to yourself. I have some a card from Journal as Alter on Instagram. I think I signed up for one of their classes. Then this is a page that continued to be the same. Then I started adding the weekly check-ins, and it was basically 3 questions. How will you bring play into your life? What is one thing you want to learn more about this week? And how will you prioritize self-care and creativity this week? And these 3 questions are important because I feel like they are a good way to pay attention and nourish your creativity. So the idea of bringing play into your life, the idea of learning and following your curiosity is another thing that was really important to me, and that's why it was included here. And then prioritizing self-care and creativity. So then another new page that I added was this open the door to curiosity, because I usually will write down things that I'm interested in looking up, like something that I heard about and I don't know a lot about it, so I want to look it up. So I would write down things like that. And this page is really helpful because then you can refer back and see if you're feeling bored and you don't know what to look up. Maybe that doesn't happen to people, but that happens to me. Then I was doing this inner child portrait in the self-portrait page. This was the communing with the muse spread, and I separated those two in this version, the sacred space one and the communing with the muse. I still had the creative action. Then I started adding this new moon or moon cycles phenology wheel, which is still in the journal right now, and the new ideas was still here. Then I made a page for end of the month reflections and a creative interpretation of the month, and added a page for the end of the, like a letter for yourself for the end of the year. Yeah, so so this little workbook became really helpful for me as a way to record images or themes that were coming up, and it became a way for me to continue to explore those themes. So for example, when I started working with this one, the theme of roads became a thing for me, and I got some junk mail from the library, I think, with these road images, or it might have been like a Subaru. catalog. So I put them there, and I just paid attention to things during the month that had this theme of like a road or a journey. And let's see. So then I started drawing, like there was also a toy that came with this little map. So there's that, some of that road imagery there. So this is actually from 2021, not from 2022. So then I have here like a table of my personal library of symbols. Words like gift, unearth, curiosity, roads, path, creativity, perception are all things that I was keeping an eye out for. So that was in January. Then this one is the February one. Let's see if there's any like in 2021 I had a Mighty Networks group. The theme of the heart was prominent, and I had the monarch butterfly, the moon, roses, Venus. Seeing with the eyes of the heart became a really big thread that I was following, and that led me to create this collage. I don't know if it's in this book or in the next month, but I continue to observe that idea of the heart and to pay attention to heart imagery that was coming up. I drew this heart. I think it might be this one where I made a collage. I made a collage of a heart in March, and creating that collage gave me this idea for a class, like a workshop that I got the chance to do. Maybe it's here, with a group that I was in a class with. I really like how colorful these are, because when I printed them out, it was basically just empty with a little bit of font here and there. So then I had to add some visual interest. So I would add washi tape and stickers and color, pencils, crayons. So I feel like these were definitely a lot more creative than some of my recent months. And maybe that's something that I will notice for next year and try to bring back. Okay, so I think this is the one. So I had been following this idea that I got from Megan Watterson, who wrote the book Mary Magdalene Revealed, and she also created the Divine Feminine Oracle, and a new one that's coming out, the Mary Magdalene Oracle. So I had this idea of seeing with the eyes of the heart. I spent a lot of time meditating on it, journaling about it, and then at the end of the month here in March, I was making a collage, and I had this idea of ripping up paper and pasting this like heart, like making a heart out of these broken pieces of paper, ripped pieces of paper. And this led me to this idea of collecting like the pieces of our heart. It led me to the idea of like the heart chamber as like a place that we can go and like meditate. And I participated in I was a co-facilitator in a workshop where we did a meditation going to the heart chamber with like sound bowls, and it was really cool. That's one example of how like a message that grabs you, if you follow it, pay attention to how it's showing up in your day-to-day, and just really like pay attention and engage with it. It can lead you to write something, to create something more. For me, it led me to create a workshop and share it with people. And I created a guided visualization and I shared it with people. And I think I still have the link for that, so I'll paste it down on this video. But that's one example of how the journal has really supported me and allowed me to notice the symbols that keep coming up, seeing like a pattern, taking notes about it, seeing where it goes, because a lot of times I don't know where it's gonna go. But when something jumps out at you, you get this feeling that, oh, that's important, I should pay attention to it. At least that's how it is for me. So I will write it down and then I will keep an eye out for it. But it is a lot about paying attention to everything that is happening to you, to things that you're reading, to how you're feeling. So let's see, I wonder if I have any more. So for my intentions, this month I want to be open to the guidance of no creative projects. This month I also want to dedicate at least 30 minutes each day to writing short stories. So I was doing the Venus gates with April from The Moon is My Calendar, tracking the Venus cycle, sharing in my Mighty Network community. Then I was working with Chiastolite, Cottonwood, Venus, Mary Magdalene, and the Moon. This idea of the spiritual eyes of the heart, I think I got it from Megan Watterson with her scene with the eyes of the heart. So then I took it further with the spiritual eyes of the heart. I was into radical imagination, receiving and giving. The dark moon, a time to embrace the weirdness and all those shunned parts of ourselves. I was reading The Heroine's Journey, or wanted to learn more about the heroine's journey. So here in How to Bring Play, I said I was following the thread of this new offering that is being downloaded, the Integrated Heart, Critical Creative Consciousness. Some other things I was curious about. This is the self-portrait. I was really I was attending a few classes with Megan Watterson, so I remember this is something that she talked about, the spiritual eyes of the heart. There's the human and the divine, and then there's this, like, can you even see my hand? Nous, which was the mind, where the two spheres connect. Here I did an Akashic Records reading. Learning fun things and things that excite me. I think one of my girls drew that. We were watching Waffles and Mochi, Listen to Your Vegetables and Eat Your Parents. Reflecting on all the ways journaling has saved me. This idea of imagination was like a seed that was planted here, and it has blossomed beautifully, and I'll share more about that in another video. Oh, I can't spell imagination apparently. So imagination is coming out to be one of those qualities that is really important to nurture alongside curiosity and creativity. So those would be like my 3 pillars: imagination, curiosity, and creativity. I started using this page as a way to track my expenses. Interpreters of the World as If It Was a Dream, that was a quote by Carolyn Casey. Then my end of the month reflection was a tiny paragraph. Now it's a whole page. Says that I'm still following the thread of seeing with the eyes of the heart, distilling the nectar and the elixir. Yeah, let's see. So now that I have these, they're consecutive, right? So I have January, February, March, and April, and I can see now, like, if the thread continued, or how things progressed. And this time I added a pocket. As I'm looking back through these, I just feel like I haven't been as creative as I would have liked with this year's journal, and that could be because it's in a I did a similar collage here, like this one. I had a time when I was really into hearts, drawing hearts, noticing hearts. I had like a little heart concertina that I made. I'm gonna finish my other thought. When you have like a consecutive journal, you can, if you have the time, and I think you should take the time to reread your journals, you can look through them and see like the different things that evolved during the year, where sometimes maybe you started with an idea and then like you got a clue about what it meant later on, I mean, in the month. So here I'm just flipping through my January journal, looking at the big pages here. It does feel better, like I like the size, but the journal for this year, it just ended up being so big. I am reducing it for next year. I'll talk about some of those changes in another video once I have like a little preview I can share, but it was really big, so lugging this thing around felt like tiring. So that's why I had an extra of these smaller ones that I printed, so I started using this one for the second half of the year. But see, silly things like octopus. A lot of the things, like the different threads that I follow, I'll usually make a note about them here in the personal library of symbols, but they will also come out from the curiosity page. And this one, like this poem, it says, this poem was mentioned in the book The Bond, and the same day I saw it on the 9th floor of the poetry garage where I park. And I had been parking there for years and I never noticed it. So I had to go and print it to read it, and it was definitely a worthwhile poem. So the weekly check-in became like a bigger 2-page spread. That's something that will be changing in next year's journal. I'll talk about that a little more. Creative interpretation. Here I tried to do like a mind map. Let's see. I was doing a no-buy, thinking about spirit connection. Unearthing the Moon is a group that I was trying to start on Facebook. Drawing faces, or faces with an F. Healing shame, and reading the book The Bond, gratitude, movie nights, dreams, cottage core, high chairs, teething and toys, commonplacing, too many interests, belonging, art, cultural strategy, dark academia, writing, weaving. I actually really enjoyed making that, and I might add added as a prompt, like a mind map. Then I wrote a little bit here, the orbits of routine versus spontaneous, chaos versus harmony. It says that looking back at my intentions, I feel I accomplished what I set out to do. So the way that I usually use the journal is in January, I spent some time thinking about what I wanted to do for the year, but I will usually look back at the previous month, see what I focused on, see if there's anything from that month that I want to carry over for this month, if there's like an intention that I really want to continue nourishing. Write it down here. Then I will do my communion with the muse message, write what I think is a message here, and then throughout the month, when I'm feeling like a little disconnected, I would go back and look through what I wanted to do. And I'll read the message that I got, because that's a way to encourage myself. Now that I have the moon phenology wheel, I can look back and see if there was anything during each of the moon phases that's important that can give me like extra messages. Something that I haven't done but I would like to do in the future is, before getting to the last page where I'm doing the end of the month reflection, let's see, I would like to look through all the pages, read, maybe highlight some things, because there's so much that I added here, and some things are probably important to not lose, like things that I was interested in. I did a lot of research for writing throughout the year. I was thinking about a lunar calendar format for this journal, and I'm actually it's not a moon journal, but you have the option of starting the month with the new moon. Let's see, learning to draw faces is something that didn't continue. Linda Berry's process came back. Monastic literature. I don't know if this is when I was reading the Acedia and Me book. So that's something that I should probably do and start doing more regularly, is just reading through. What is this? Creative interpretation. So I pasted some collage paper, and then here it says mending, tending, weaving, creating, threads, spirals, portals, minutiae, memento mori, the search for specialness, Lady Death, the green heart of Mother Earth, be with us now. I think it's a poem. Yeah, so I hope that gives you an idea of how a journal doesn't have to be this journal, but just writing down your symbols that you are seeing, how that can help you follow your intuition and the guidance that you're receiving, similar to the message or the video that I shared earlier. If you want to see more videos about how I use the journal, let me know in the comments. I hope I was in frame here, but thank you for stopping by.